Shortly after the incident, the Department of Homeland Security released a statement on social media accusing Renee Nicole Good of weaponizing her vehicle and calling her actions an act of domestic terrorism. That language immediately sparked outrage. Many critics argued that labeling a civilian mother as a domestic terrorist before a full independent investigation was irresponsible and inflammatory. Civil rights advocates warned that such language can shape public perception long before facts are fully established. Former President Donald Trump also weighed in on the shooting. In a post on Truth Social, he described the incident as a horrible thing to watch, but claimed that the ICE officer appeared to have acted in self-defense. Trump went further, describing a woman screaming nearby as a professional agitator and accusing Renee of being disorderly, obstructive, and violently running over the ICE officer. These claims were immediately disputed by local officials and by people who reviewed the video footage. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey responded forcefully, calling the White House's version of events false and using strong language to demand that ICE leave the city. His comments reflected the anger felt by many residents, who believe federal authorities acted recklessly and without accountability. Tensions escalated further when Minnesota's Bureau of Criminal Apprehension announced that federal authorities were preventing the state agency from participating in the investigation. This decision raised serious concerns about transparency and oversight. When federal agencies investigate their own officers without independent involvement, trust can quickly erode. Legal experts and civil rights groups warned that blocking state investigators could undermine the credibility of any findings. Protests erupted almost immediately after the shooting. Demonstrators gathered across Minneapolis and the Twin Cities, demanding justice for Renee Nicole Good. Vigils were held at the site of the shooting, with candles, flowers, and signs honoring her memory. By the second day, protests had grown larger, drawing national attention. One incident during a vigil further intensified public anger. Video emerged allegedly showing a DHS officer kicking over a memorial candle and saying, "I don't give a F." Whether or not disciplinary action will follow remains unclear, but the footage added fuel to an already burning fire. Another disturbing detail came from a doctor who said he tried to help Renee after she was shot. According to reports, ICE agents blocked him from reaching her and refused to allow him to provide medical assistance. The doctor later said he was told, "I don't care." If confirmed, this allegation could become one of the most damning elements of the case. Renee Good's family has since spoken out, sharing their grief and pain. Her mother said she believes Renee was probably terrified in her final moments. She described her daughter as one of the kindest people she had ever known. These words have resonated deeply with many who see Renee not as a political symbol, but as a human being whose life ended far too soon. The case has also ignited a media firestorm. On Fox News, commentator Jesse Watters dismissed Renee as a self-proclaimed poet with pronouns in her bio, remarks that were widely criticized as dehumanizing and irrelevant. Many argued that such commentary reflects a broader pattern of framing victims based on political identity rather than focusing on the loss of life. Legal experts say many critical questions remain unanswered. Was lethal force justified under federal use of force guidelines? Did Renee's vehicle pose an immediate deadly threat? Why were state investigators excluded? Why did agents leave the scene without providing aid? The answers to these questions could have far-reaching implications for federal law enforcement practices. What began as a routine federal enforcement operation quickly turned into one of the most controversial and emotionally charged incidents of the year. A 37-year-old mother is dead. An ICE agent has been identified as the shooter, and the city of Minneapolis has become the center of nationwide outrage, protests, and political debate. This is not just another breaking news story. It is a human tragedy that has left a family shattered and a country once again asking difficult questions about power, accountability, and the use of deadly force. Renee Nicole Good was 37 years old at the time of her death. She was a mother, a wife, and according to those who knew her, a deeply compassionate person who cared about her community. Friends and local leaders described her as someone who paid close attention to what was happening around her, especially when it came to immigrant neighbors. Minneapolis City Council member Jason Chavez described her as an observer, someone who was watching out for others rather than causing harm. Renee leaves behind her wife and children, who now must live with the reality that she never came home. On January 7, ICE agents were operating in Minneapolis as part of federal immigration enforcement actions. At some point during the operation, Renee Nicole Good was inside her Honda Pilot when agents approached her vehicle. According to multiple reports, ICE agents attempted to open her car door. What happened next was captured on several bystander videos, footage that would later spread rapidly across social media and news outlets. In the videos, Renee can be seen reversing her vehicle as agents surround the car. Moments later, the SUV moves forward and slightly to the right. Almost immediately, gunshots are fired. An ICE agent shoots through the windshield, then fires 2 additional shots through the open driver's side window. Renee is hit. Her vehicle crashes into another car nearby. She dies at the scene. The shooting was public, chaotic, and recorded. That fact alone has played a major role in why the incident has sparked such intense reaction. People across the country have watched the footage frame by frame, debating what they see and what they believe happened in those final moments. Soon after the shooting, multiple outlets including the Minnesota Star-Tribune, Fox 9, and The Intercept reported that the ICE agent who fired the fatal shots was Jonathan Ross. People magazine stated that it had not independently verified the identification, and both ICE and the Department of Homeland Security did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Still, Fox 9 later confirmed, citing DHS sources, that the same agent involved in a prior violent encounter was the one who shot Renee Good. That prior incident has now become a major part of the public discussion. Court records reviewed by People show that Jonathan Ross was injured last year during a separate enforcement action. During that incident, a man named Roberto Carlos Munoz Guatemala allegedly dragged Ross with his car after the agent punched through the vehicle's window while attempting to stop him. Munoz Guatemala was later found guilty of assault in federal court in December. Supporters of ICE argue that this earlier incident is important context, suggesting the agent may have believed his life was in danger again. Critics, however, argue that previous trauma does not justify the use of lethal force against an unarmed civilian, especially one who was attempting to move her vehicle rather than attack. The bystander videos have been central to public reaction. In the footage, a masked agent can be seen approaching the scene after Renee's car crashes. Instead of attempting to provide medical aid, the agent walks away, gets into an SUV, and leaves the area. For many viewers, this moment is as disturbing as the shooting itself. The lack of visible emergency assistance has fueled anger and disbelief. Minneapolis is a city with a painful history when it comes to police violence and public trust. For many residents, this incident reopened old wounds. Yet amid the anger and division, there has also been unity. Community members have organized fundraisers, shared resources, and offered support to Renee's family. As of now, no criminal charges have been announced. The investigation remains under federal control. Protests continue, and the family of Renee Nicole Good waits for answers. Whether accountability will follow remains uncertain. What is clear is that this story will not simply fade away. The death of Renee Nicole Good has become a test of transparency and justice in America. It raises uncomfortable questions about how power is exercised and who is protected by the system. As this case continues to develop, many are asking the same question: will the full truth be revealed, and will anyone be held responsible? Until those answers come, Renee's name will continue to be spoken at vigils, protests, and in conversations across the country, a reminder that behind every headline is a human life that mattered.